On today's episode of the Blood and Bandage MMA podcast, we'll be covering news items such as
Dana White on Khabib retiring, Israel Adesanya versus Jan Blachovicz at light heavyweight,
the return of the Ultimate Fighter, and much more besides.
We also review UFC Vegas 12 and Bellator 250, and our special guest this evening is Ireland's newest UFC signing, Rhys Skeletor McKee.
And we'll finish up our show today on our picks on a range of events that are coming up this week. Right, let's get into it.
I want to fight with Chuck. Chuck.
I think he just blew his wad there.
Anderson Silva, you absolutely suck.
Are you still drunk right now? Are you still drunk or what? What's going on?
This is Bruce Lee shit. Frank Mir had a horseshoe up his ass. I pulled that sumbitch out and I beat him over the head with it.
You can't stop us at Beer Express. Choo-choo, motherfuckers.
If he was a girl, you would say he has a badonkadonk.
I'm cool with all the gods. Gods recognize gods.
This is number one bullshit.
I'm not impressed by your performance.
I'm the man of the hour, Joe. Too sweet to be sour. What you see is what you get, and what you don't is better yet. I'm the women's pick. I'm the men's regret. And if you win against Chael Sonnen, you made a bad bet. Mandalay Silva. 6 feet tall and 205 pounds. Boy, until I met you, I didn't know they could stack crap that high.
Where you at, McNugget, you fucking piece of shit? I'm gonna kick your ass.
I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
I don't have much left to say other than you have seen nothing yet.
Who the fuck is that guy?
You're listening to the Blood and Bandage MMA podcast.
What you think for a new intro, guys?
I have to say I enjoy that.
That was good crack, wasn't it?
The best bit clearly is the who the fuck is that guy after Ben Rothwell's creepy laugh.
I actually had never, when I went back over the video, that was the first time I had actually seen how awkwardly embarrassing that was. That was really, really, really bad. And it's not like his first time doing it or his last time doing it either. He's cringeworthy, isn't he?
Oh, Ben Rothwell?
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about the Conor McGregor thing. Yeah, Ben Rothwell. Oh, he's hard on the mic.
Yep.
Not very entertaining, but I suppose he plays into the whole WWE thing. He's a big WWE fan, so.
Right, we'll get stuck into our news items. So we were saying Dana White.
Yeah, so Dana White came out with a tweet, I'm just trying to find it here, about Khabib's retirement and that he's possibly not going away and that he does expect him to come back and fight for 30-0. I suppose, like, we discussed last week about that Khabib, he didn't seem like the kind of guy that was going to retire and then come back. But
I know Dana White shitting all over us, like.
But Dana White says a lot of stuff.
Yeah, he does.
So you don't know who to believe, but if Dana is to be believed, he's not gone away, and that implies that he's still holding the title. So all the yammer now about who's going to be the next lightweight title holder and is Conor versus Poirier for the belt, is Justin going to fight someone for the belt, that all goes away until this is settled. But
I think he did confirm that it was like Khabib is still the title holder.
Yeah.
There is no interim title, and McGregor Poirier is not for an interim title
he confirmed that it's not for a vacant belt.
Okay.
But he didn't rule out the possibility of an interim belt per se.
Okay.
So he you'd imagine he would have let on something about an interim belt, but he certainly didn't rule it out. I don't see it happening. I see them kind of letting the guys fight it out a little bit, and then they're making the decision close to the summer next year. It's kind of a bit of a letdown. All the talk for all week has been who's going fighting who for the belt and how it's going to play out.
Yeah, and McGregor or White said that the 30-0 thing had resonated with Khabib, and that like after the emotions kind of sank down, that this 30-0 came back up to the fore. We did kind of sort of say that might be a possibility. All right, like, but it's a tough one.
And it like this is the thing. You see by his reaction after the fight, it definitely was his most emotional kind of ordeal that he's gone through, fighting without the father and breaking down after the fight and everything. So maybe, just maybe, I still honestly believe that he's gone away. I can't see him coming back. This could all be rhetoric just to stop the clamouring for who's next for the belt and to kick it down the road a little bit to give them time to make a plan for it. See who comes out on top in the McGregor-Poirier fight. See who comes out in maybe a Ferguson and Chandler fight or something like that, so they have a clearer picture of who's number one contender. But I don't see him coming back.
And the other big news item then that Dana dropped during that press scrum was the whole Jan Blachovicz and Israel Adesanya for the lightweight or light heavy.
Light heavyweight, yeah.
So super fight.
So anyone that's been listening to the podcast regularly, I've been saying this for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, that Izzy is going up to 205 this year to fight Jon Jones. And everyone was saying, I see a load of stuff online that Izzy's only going up now because Jon Jones is gone. That's absolute bullshit. The man is going up to get that fight. And the only way this fight makes sense as a super fight is if the one of them is holding the belt.
Mm-hmm.
So Izzy fights Jan. Yeah, if Izzy wins, which is a big if, by the way.
Yeah.
That's no easy fight.
That's a tough fight for Izzy.
But if Izzy wins, makes perfect sense to do a Jon Jones fight at 205. I was actually looking at Jan in comparison to Paulo Costa. So Paulo Costa is 6'1", reach of 72 inches, and Jan is 6'2", reach of 78 inches. Izzy is 6'4" with a reach of 80 inches. So it's not. He's a bigger guy than Costa, but Costa's huge at 85.
Yeah,
but he's not that much bigger. Like, I wanted to get your opinion on it because you picked Jan over Dominic Reyes when I didn't see Jan having any chance in that fight.
It's one of the rare ones I got right.
But I wanted to get your opinion on like what's Izzy's route to victory here. Is it same?
Yeah, well, Izzy's not going to turn into a grappler for this fight. He's going to do his own kickboxing style. I felt that Dominic Reyes was Dominic Reyes is not in the same level of striking as Izzy.
Yeah.
For Dominic Reyes, because he had so much success with Jon Jones early, I think his confidence was high, and he kind of rode that wave of confidence, and that's why he did so well. Yeah. With Jan Blachovicz, I knew that Jan had that extra dimension that Jon Jones wouldn't bring to the fight, and that he was going to be able to take Dominic Reyes down if he needed to.
Yeah.
And then that threat would have kind of neutralized Reyes' confidence in the stand-up range.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to Izzy, I don't see Izzy is not going to want to take it to the ground. And I think Izzy's striking and his distance management, it makes it very, very difficult to take him down at all. And I don't think that, like, if Robert Whittaker wasn't able to get him down and keep him down, Jan Blachovicz is not going to be able to keep him down.
But so, like, I compared Paulo Costa to Jan. If you compare Robert Whittaker to Jan, Robert Whittaker, you could argue, was a natural 70-pounder. Jan is a big 205er.
Yeah.
Like, if the threat of a takedown is there and Jan can get a hold of him, do you think he'll just be able to outmuscle him?
See, the thing is, with wrestling, it's not just about the strength, it's about the mobility to be able to chase somebody down. Somebody like Izzy with his footwork, be able to get out of the range. It's very hard to shoot him.
Yeah.
As soon as you drop levels at all, he's gone, you know. But Whittaker has the speed in order to do that. So part of the reason Whittaker is so good at wrestling is because he's got that footwork to be able to close distance very, very fast.
Yeah.
So if he's not able to wrestle Adesanya, I don't see Jan doing it. I think this is a relatively straightforward kickboxing match for Izzy, and I see him knocking him out in the third.
Knocking him out?
I think so.
Jeez, this I can't remember what fight it was recently. You were right, because you called the knockout, and I said, I just don't see him going away. I think it's too big. What fight was that? It could have actually been the Izzy Paulo Costa one.
I think it was the Costa one, yeah.
Yeah, and
I called a fourth round knockout, and he got him in the second.
And I said I didn't see him going away. He's too big. I'm going to have to jump back on that train. I think Jan is definitely too big to be put away, but I do think he'll touch him up. But then look, I was proved wrong with the Costa fight. He landed lethal strikes. So I suppose that's the difference. It doesn't have to be a big power.
And the next news item then kind of touches on something that you have a theory about. Then this the return of the Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah. So they've more or less announced Jan versus Izzy for the 205 strap for March, which I imagine will be in the first 2 weeks of March, and it'll be the pay-per-view event of March. And the Ultimate Fighter, the new season, is due to start in March, which generally culminates in International Fight Week with the Ultimate Fighter card, and the following night, or that night, the coaches fight. And whatever prevalence the fight has, it's normally on either that card or the following night on the main event. So my theory, the original booking they were looking to make was Khabib versus Conor for the Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah.
So they obviously want to go huge for this one, the return of Ultimate Fighter. They want it to be the biggest one yet. They want to get all eyes on it. The fact that they couldn't get that done, name 2 guys bigger at the moment who could possibly fight than Izzy versus Jones. I reckon if Izzy beats Jan, it's Izzy versus Jones, coaching the Ultimate Fighter, culminating in International Fight Week main event.
That would be awesome.
It would be unbelievable. Yeah. And even those guys coaching against each other.
Yeah.
The back and forth. Izzy's
the mind games.
Yeah. They've been shitting on each other for months now. That will be an entertaining watch.
And I don't think John Jones will come across very well in the season with the Ultimate Fighter. Like he's such
Does John Jones come across well in any platform?
I know, but I reckon he's going to lose a lot of fans. Like when people actually see him, like from a coaching point of view, I don't think he's going to make a good coach. I think Izzy would make a good coach. I don't think
has
John Jones.
John done a season already? I think he has. I think
remember.
He has. And
did he do it again? Did he against? He didn't. Do it against Chael Sonnen. Chael Sonnen was against Anderson Silva. And
Vanderlei Silva, yeah. I think he did one against...
Daniel Cormier?
See, it's Daniel Cormier, or for some reason I've Gus in my head, but I don't think Gus coached it.
No, I don't think so.
But I think John Jones, I could be wrong, we'll look it up later, but I think John Jones did coach, and like you said, didn't come across well.
Yeah, I don't remember. I watched the first 7 seasons of The Ultimate Fighter, like literally never missed an episode. This was back before you tape record them. Like you had to be there at the time it was on, and I would never miss it. But
to be honest, I've watched the very most of them. I'm one of the few that stayed on.
Yeah, I didn't. I lasted after, I think it was season 8, or I can't remember which season I dropped off on. But actually, no, it would have been after 10. Which one was Carl Pendrin and Chris Fields were on number 10, I think.
Jesus, I don't remember.
This is tickling those brain cells now, trying to remember those ones. But
he coached against Sonnen, tough 17.
Okay,
John Jones did. So you were right, Sonnen. Yeah, and they were supposed to fight at the end, and they did. Yeah. Because you were only saying to me last week that he fought John Jones, and I was like, "Did he fight John Jones?"
You blocked that one out. Is that the one that Uriah Hall won? So. And that was much later, was it?
That was against Anderson Silva, because remember you were on about him pointing at the...
Yeah.
That was earlier, I'd say.
Yeah.
But that, for me, that's what makes most sense for the Ultimate Fighter in going forward. If they're looking to make it that big, it's got to be someone like Izzy. It's got to be someone like John Jones. And if you go down through the divisions, there's only a handful more. Conor McGregor against somebody, but... Yeah. Realistically,
if it's not Khabib, it's not going to be anybody.
I can't see them paying Conor money for him to go and do that show.
Yeah, like they barely afforded him the first time, and he wasn't even a champ at that stage.
Yeah, exactly. There's no way they're going to pay the money to get Conor to do that show again, unless, like you say, it was against Khabib.
Yeah,
when you probably don't have to pay him that much. It's just you're going to be locked in a room with Khabib for 6 weeks.
I know. Jesus, can you imagine? There'll be a 4th World War breakout, or a 3rd World War even. I skipped the 3rd World War there. There's something about 2020 made it feel like we've already had the 3rd World War.
Yeah, the 3rd World War is Chinese bats against the rest of the world. That's what it is.
I think Darren Till and Mike Perry would make great coaches for the Ultimate Fighter as well.
They would, because of the back and forth, yes. It would be very different. There wouldn't be any major emphasis on the fight. But for entertainment value, 100%. And there's a few guys. Darren Till against basically anybody.
Chimev,
oh my God. Him just shouting smash. Just constantly berating everyone with he'd be smashing his own fighters during the training sessions. Yeah, no.
Be pure fear.
Yeah.
They'd be training out of fear.
But yeah, look, besides that, the fact that Tough is even returning, I think it's a huge move for the UFC. Like the Dana White Contenders series, which is coming up again this week, is starting again, has been very, very good. Very good. And I think if they can somehow get that attitude into the fighters.
Mm.
Like, my recommendation is don't even tell them the winner gets a contract. Tell them they need to impress on the show to get a contract, or they could just turn around after the final going, no, you're not getting it.
Or tell them that they can't get out of the house unless they win a fight or something.
Yeah.
That we're just going to bury you in concrete.
But there's got to be something a lot from that Contender Series style of matchmaking that they bring into it to make these guys fight in that way.
Yeah.
So it's not, because what killed Tough was people going in with the attitude, I need to win 3 fights, I'm going to do anything I can to win 3 fights.
Yeah.
And the styles of matchups were awful.
I think there are too many of them as well. I think once they started going like tough Brazil and then tough Latin America and then,
which were probably huge there.
Yeah.
Like if they'd have come over here and done a tough Ireland UK,
yeah,
it would have been huge. Like they got to appeal to every market, but like you say, it was diluted. They were doing 2 or 3 of them a year. It got a bit much. If they did one every, plus I think there was 24 toughs previously, and that's not including Brazil and Latin America. And including Brazil and Latin America, I think there was like 18 of them at lightweight.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, they need to go out. This one is at bantamweight and middleweight, which are 2 divisions. Middleweight needs some fighters. They've gotten a good few off the Dana White Contender Series. Bantamweight, though.
Yeah, they don't need any more
strong
bantamweights.
division.
It's a strong division.
Very strong
and
division.
the Bellator bantamweight division is strong as well, so it's not like they haven't got...
There's how many guys are out there that are scratching at the door. Like a lot of those guys are already in Bellator. They're already fighting for big promotions. It just seems a strange one. Yeah, but I am looking forward to it. Like I say, I'm one that kind of watched right up to the end. But this one I will definitely be watching.
So we also had a bit of activity from Mr. McGregor this week. He did an uncharacteristic Q&A on his Twitter feed, and it was quite entertaining to listen or to read along to. Like
I was saying to you, the first thing that came to my head was when Conor McGregor was signed and he was after winning a couple of fights. On some interview, they got him to do a rundown of number 1 to number 10 in the featherweight division.
Yeah.
And he got to Dustin Poirier, it was P Head. He got to someone else, it was Juice Head. He got to, I think it was Chad Mendes, shit wrestler. And he rattled off everything through every one of them and just destroyed them all. He put no value in anyone. And this was basically the complete opposite of that. He was kind of paying his respects.
Yeah, he was very respectful,
to everyone at the top of the lightweight division and above. So just on Khabib, a phenomenal grappler fighter, the current best in the sport. I have the answer, however, and they know it. So
teasing the rematch, of course.
Exactly. And again, teasing the rematch with Diaz, excellent fighter. The trilogy will be of epic proportions when it goes down. Nathan and his fighting systems are never far from my thoughts throughout his practices. When it happens, I'm ready.
And I think one of the tweets as well mentioned that he was going to concentrate 2021 on the lightweight division, but that he had his eye on the welterweights after that, which is like for Irish MMA fans, that's great news to even if it's not true, just that his head is in the game and he's focused on
getting back to the very top.
Yeah, and I think that kind of similar to like some of the great boxing legends down through the years. Like, okay, I know Khabib has his 29-0 unbeaten, he's sailing off into the sunset. But like a lot of the boxing legends that have done it, apart from, we say, Mayweather, but a lot of the boxing legends have all lost their titles and then made reruns and captured the title again. I'm thinking of like George Foreman, Muhammad Ali, like all of these guys that were at the top, fell from grace and came back and got there again. And I think McGregor has not only the opportunity to do it, he has the time to do it. Yeah. And I think he has the skills to do it.
100%. Even, I think when people look back at Anthony Joshua's career, now I know there's a lot of chapters to be still read in that one or written in that one. But for his championship reign to this point, the biggest thing that they're going to look at is that Ruiz loss and how he came back and beat him in the second fight. So comebacks are huge. Comebacks are all that. And you're coming back as the underdog. As good as your skills are, you're always going to come back as the underdog. So it is good to see him in that mind frame and kind of just focusing on fighting for now.
And then we had Mr. Silva and his retirement.
Yeah.
Sort of retirement.
Yeah, strange one. I think even Dana's comments after it were, they were a bit crass, in my opinion. Dana commented saying that he thinks any promotion or any commission that will put on an Anderson Silva fight after this one would be disgusting.
I wouldn't put in the same league as like who was it recently that fought? Was it Tito Ortiz and
Ken Shamrock?
And Chuck Liddell.
Yeah. It's not anything.
It's not that league.
No, God, no. If you look at the fight,
yeah.
I know we're going to break down the fight in a while, but if you look at the fight, in my opinion, if that was a 3-round fight, he'd have won a close decision.
Yep.
So against the top 10 guy, like
he gave Izzy a run for his money.
Yeah, the man is by no means done. I know his record would suggest he's done, but the skills are still there. Yeah, he's just and he actually looked fantastic in the first round coming at Hall. Yeah, I just think his mind is a little bit out of it, but he could be rejuvenated if he went somewhere else. You wouldn't know. Can you see him going elsewhere?
Elsewhere? No, I don't think so. I don't think what's he like? I mean, elsewhere you're talking really is Bellator. You know, he's not going to go to bare knuckle boxing. He's not going to go to pro boxing. Yeah, he would be huge over there. But I just think that, I don't know, I don't think any of the lads that kind of
playing on the pride era a little bit.
Yeah, true. I think he is UFC
true and true,
and I wouldn't like to see him go anywhere. I'll be honest. Yeah. I think actually now is a good time for him to retire. I think that like he is definitely still competing with the top guys, but like when you're no longer in the running for a title, I think it's time to retire. And particularly like at what 40, 43, 44 or whatever age
45.
He's 45. Yeah, I mean, like he hasn't been hurt yet, but I mean,
yeah. Well, look, he's had some like the Weidman injury. I know, freak injury, but you were messaging me during the fight going, oh my God, those leg kicks, every time I feel like his shin is going to snap.
Every time he threw a kick. And like
Hall was checking them.
He was checking them. He checked the first round, he checked about 5 kicks, I'd say, and they were inside kicks, outside kicks, and then he threw a few body kicks and they got caught in the elbows. And like if you've ever kicked anybody who's ever kicked an elbow, you know that sucks. Yeah. And he was kicking it with the leg that he had already broken as well. Yeah. Now, the chances of him ever breaking that leg again are slim. They probably put a titanium rod inside there. So, but still, like, just, I don't know. Like, and I think a lot of, like, the fact that he kind of got dropped as well was to do with, like, his chin is worn out. Yeah. His chin is gone, like, you know. And it's, as we know, it's not the chin that wears out, it's the brain. Yeah. You know, and if you're getting dropped and knocked out, or not even knocked out, but dazzled.
Rocked.
Yeah, rocked. And it wasn't a hard shot that rocked him. Like, they were just... No. Nicely timed shots, and if you're dropping with those shots, it just points to the beginning of the end. Yeah. For the brain, and the major damage can be done in the next 3 to 4 fights.
Yeah.
So like if I was his coach, I would be pulling him. I would be saying. Yeah.
So he's already lost now. I think it's 4 on the bounce, 5 on the bounce.
And 8 of his last 9, I think, or something.
9 of his last 10 now, I think.
Yeah.
Or no win, 1 win in 10.
Yeah.
There was 1 no contest with the one he actually technically won against Diaz, but that was ruled no contest. Sorry, it is 9 fights. You're right. But like coming back, Dana's on about another promotion signing when it being disgusting. After post his injury and coming back and looking poor, Dana White signed him to a 10-fight contract. So get the fuck out of here with that talk, like.
Yeah. Are you saying? I think that question came up when he was asked, would he release him?
Yeah,
to be able to fight elsewhere, and he said that he wouldn't.
Yeah,
he'd literally hold him to his contract in order to save him. Yeah. That was the kind of sentiment I was getting from him anyway. I would like to see him retire. I think he's got nothing left to prove.
Yep.
And he went out like this. Like even just the post fight chat between himself and Urijah Hall was just inspirational, just to listen. Like you saw the cameraman was trying to get in on top of him to try and figure out what's he saying to Urijah Hall. He's saying something magical now into his ear, and I thought that was the long pause he had, kind of saying a prayer in the middle of the cage and just kind of soaking it all in. That's it. That's your finish.
A point you made as well during the fight was the not leaving the gloves in the octagon. I thought he would.
Mm.
And you were saying you didn't think he would out of respect for Hall's victory and to let Hall have his moment. And you were bang on. But yeah, it just goes to show the class of the man.
Yeah. Oh, huge.
A lot of guys wouldn't even dream, that wouldn't enter their head. It's their retirement fight. It's their moment.
Mm.
But he's
But
not.
even with 9 losses, I would still put him like ahead of John Jones as on the GOAT list.
Yeah, well,
Do you know, even like see, this is the thing, is like the greatest of all time. You have to. It's a mute debate in one sense, because there's never going to be a definitive answer. But when you take all things in, you know, you're talking about, like, Khabib has always talked about being like this kind of inspirational person. Daniel Cormier is always the leader, but there's none of them that hold a candle to Anderson Silva with regards to class, martial arts spirit, integrity,
and the way he, when he was champ, the way he dominated everyone.
Yep.
It was scary. He looked completely unbeatable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, the argument is there, but again, I go back to he popped the same ball to me. Like, just
Well, I was asking you about that. Was that after the leg break?
that was the Diaz fight. Popped for dick pills, supposedly.
Yeah.
Very conveniently after, it was about, I suppose, 8 months after John Jones' defensive dick pills came out, he tried the dick pills move as well.
Yeah.
And I can remember the NSAC.
Vitor Belfort was doing that as well.
Yeah.
So their test is TRT. It's
Yeah.
testosterone replacement.
And
So.
NSAC actually gave the hearing live, or showed the hearing live on Fight Pass. And it was one of the strangest things I've ever watched in my life. Like, genuinely, if you can find that somewhere, go back and look it up. It is fucking crazy, where he's talking about dick pills and Viagra and just insane. But yeah, the last bit of news quickly before we move on there is the Bellator contracted fighters, or the out of contract fighters.
Yeah.
And them not commenting on whether they've been officially released or if they've been signed.
Yeah.
But you go through some of the names on that list, like there's Joe Warren, former two-time champion, Manny Vasquez, an up-and-coming bantamweight, Sean Bunch, Mike Kimball, Ricky Bandejas. There's loads more. I won't go through them all, but you've Derek Campos. And I suppose for the Irish fans, you've Richard Kiley, Jan Pascu, who's also fighting out of SBG Dublin. You've Joe Schilling, huge name. I know he'd a losing record. You've Rafael Carvalho, Roy Nelson, Frank Mir. I mean, there's some huge names on that list.
Well, Frank Mir has gone to bare knuckle boxing.
Bare knuckle boxing, yeah.
So he's okay for the moment.
Yeah.
But the rest, where would you see them being picked up?
This is the thing. I can only see one or two people there that might cut it in the UFC.
Mm-hmm.
That would be Manny Vasquez.
Joe Warren?
No, Joe Warren's too old. Joe Warren's 40 years old and he's had 2 fights in the last 4 years.
Okay. Right. Scratch that one.
And Ricky Bandejas possibly was the other one.
That's interesting.
Outside of that, and again, Ricky Bandejas had a shit run of luck at the moment, so perhaps go somewhere else or go on Dana White's Contender Series or something like that.
Yeah,
he needs to come back a little bit before he gets that nod, but he's young.
And he has that win over
Lots of potential.
Dvalishvili as well. So
win over Dvalishvili, win over Gallagher, who's kind of the face of Bellator.
Yeah,
that might kind of lean towards a signing.
Yeah,
but like I say, he'd have to get a couple of wins before he goes in.
Yeah.
But just like we were on about UFC going back at the start of the lockdown, there was a lot of guys getting cut, guys getting released from their contracts, guys fighting out the contracts, and it was quite evident that in the I suppose financial state the world is in at the moment, that UFC was kind of
putting on the cards.
But they were putting on the cards, but they were lightening the load a little bit, that they didn't have to have so many guys that they were contractually obligated to get fights and to get paid. They were clearly lightening the load earlier in the year, and now we see Bellator doing the same thing. So maybe this is a pattern that might continue until coronavirus is over. There could be a lot of top level guys coming into smaller promotions in the next year or so trying to get wins. So interesting to keep an eye on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, that's all our news. So what's next?
So we touch on the Bellator 250 card, even though I don't really want to. I've wasted already 4 hours of my life on it. So no, look, you've got Musasi's a genius.
Yeah. I don't think it was good. Musasi's great performance. I think it was
Lima just not giving him anything.
Yeah, but there was three or four fights in the last 3 fights off the top of my head now that this happened with. I think Uriah Hall versus Anderson Silva, trigger shy. Didn't with too much respect for Silva.
Yeah.
Douglas Lima against Gegard Mousasi didn't pull the trigger, hung back. Only started the fight in the 3rd round or the 4th or the very last round. I think he only started to push
late in the 4th and in the 5th he kind of pushed. Yeah,
and then he had some success there, but it was already too late at that stage.
Done,
And the same thing with Justin Gaethje and Khabib.
Yeah,
I think in those 3 instances we've seen challengers just getting awestruck by champions or people who they've looked up to, and that's a huge kind of a sports psychology thing. And the thing about McGregor never suffered that.
Yeah,
like when you look back, and I know he in his own head he is the GOAT and the champ and the whole lot, you know. But there's a lot to be said for sports psychology, and when it comes to the big moments like that, you know.
I like it. And the thing with Lima is Lima was going into this fight talking about defending both belts, and he's planned for 2021, and then to go in and completely freeze up, like his mind frame seemed to be in a good place going into it, whether he was outgunned or not. But to look that bad in the fight then was just shocking. And it would be different if, you could forgive Justin Gaethje in the sense that he was in against Khabib and then he realised what Khabib was about. He went, oh shit, this guy's
he had a go at the start,
face.
Yeah, he had a go at the start and then got shell-shocked.
Yeah, whereas Lima
never got going.
And Mousasi never really threatened him. Mousasi did enough to just kind of plod forward.
Yeah, he was. His pressure, his forward pressure was really good. I was impressed by that.
But it wasn't that he was cutting him off and constantly in his face with strikes. Yeah. He did cut him off well, but it was like he was plodding. It was just kind of very methodical.
I felt that he was just making sure that Lima never came forward, and that was a huge part of Lima's attack. You know, like a striker needs to settle. A striker needs to get their balance and find that kind of that range. They have to find their own range, and they have to be able to kind of get the timing in order to put the weight on one leg or the other in order to throw that leg kick or to throw the punches. And because Mousasi kept walking forwards, Lima was forced to keep on taking a backward step and never settle. But I mean, Lima is the striker.
Yeah, exactly.
He is the striker there. Yeah. He should be caught by rookie stuff like that, you know.
Yeah, and I suppose you could argue that in the first round, Mousasi did get the takedown and looked dominant on top. Maybe that's what made him hesitant. I don't know. But in the second, third, fourth round, Mousasi was able to just stand in front of him and throw a handful of strikes and just outpoint him easily.
Yeah.
Very strange. The rest of the card was not much worth talking about. You have your boy Jake Hager.
Yeah. That was a very, very interesting fight for us to watch.
Yeah.
Because he had such a kind of a dominant first 2 wins, like both head and arm triangled, and then we had the no contest where he scored a knee to the balls.
Yeah.
And then on this fight, he had an uppercut to the balls and 2 lead jabs to the balls. So there's something wrong with it. His pad man must be like 4 foot tall or something.
Yeah. Or else he's attracted to them balls. Comes from the wrestling.
But both himself and Colton looked like dog crap, really, to be honest. They were brutal.
Absolutely. Like, this is the thing. People were on saying that it was a fantastic back and forth fight. I was like, there was no part of that. Just because there was blood does not make that fight a fantastic fight. 2 guys completely gassed halfway through the second round.
Yep.
Swinging haymakers and missing and clipping each other with side fists and hammer fists from it was horrible to watch from a technique perspective.
You'd see a better fight outside Hillbillies on Saturday
100%.
Night. Was there any other? There was obviously we had 3 fights that were pulled off that card. I was really looking forward to seeing Nick Newell again.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
and Toby Misic, but unfortunately they were both pulled. And Vita Ortega, your honey bun, she got pulled for COVID as well. Just quickly, what else was on that card that was somewhat interesting? Adam Boric did get a victory over Eric Sanchez by decision. Looked good, not world beater good. Like, I think after losing in the first round of the Grand Prix, he needed to come out and get a few stoppages to kind of get back up in that mix. He maybe needs to get another couple of wins before he's considered a contender again. The big one on the card was Sabah Hamasi with a huge flying knee victory over Bobby Volker. We were on about Bobby Volker making his comeback to the big time, and he did look well until Hamasi landed a knee, but it was vicious knockout. And the other one on the main card was Henry Corrales versus Brandon Gritz. Corrales got a split decision, and has since been calling out Juan Archuleta for a rematch, even though he's lost Archuleta before. He's got a win now, but a split decision on the back of 2 losses. I don't see him in that title picture in any way, shape, or form. No, he might get the shot by calling him out. You can only win by doing that. But
well, if you don't ask, you don't get.
Exactly. But yeah, no, it wasn't one of their best cards, and they've had some great cards of late.
I think that the 2 or 3 fights that they lost would have made a difference.
Oh, massively, and there were 3 big fights as well. So yeah.
It's tough times.
They got hurt.
COVID strikes again.
Exactly. In the UFC then on Saturday night.
Good card.
Yeah. Very
4
good
performance of the night bonuses handed out.
There could have easily been more.
Yeah.
I mean, when you start off the card with that KO Miles John pulls off against Kevin Natividad.
Yeah.
Woof.
That uppercut.
Jesus Christ.
And the little mini backflip he did.
that was vicious. His legs decided they were going down. His body decided it was going back, and halfway through the legs went, oh shit, we better follow the momentum. Get up.
Yeah, it was unusual.
Vicious. Yeah, that's a viral knockout. We talk about Joaquin Buckley's viral knockout, and he's got a huge push from it.
Yeah.
This guy on a first fight in a prelims card, he's going to get a big push out of that.
Yeah, I only just tuned in right for the knockout. I missed the
was.
entire fight. Right, I just tuned in for that one, and I forgot to go back on it afterwards.
And it was a very good back and forth fight. Both guys were in it. They were, and Natividad was kind of pushing the pressure, but Miles Johns was doing very well. And this is the thing: Miles Johns was the one was trying to get the takedown for the majority of the fight. It looked like he didn't want to strike with Natividad, and then pulled off a huge KO. So. Very good fight.
Dustin Jacoby was up next.
Yeah.
Leg kick clinic is what I have done on my notes.
Yeah, very impressive.
He's been out of the UFC for the last 8 years. Actually, when I saw his name on the list, I was like, oh, I know that name.
Rings a bell. Yeah, I was to say I couldn't place him though.
8 years he's been out, and he's been in Glory Kickboxing.
Yeah.
He got a Glory contract and like went all the ways to fight. I think he went up and fought for a title and everything.
So I don't know that now, but yeah.
So certainly he didn't waste his time anyway, because like those leg kicks paid off dividend.
Definitely not.
And I think about it as well, that the most impressive thing I found about his performance was that he was very, very patient when he had his opponent hurt.
Yeah.
And he dropped him. He kind of popped down to engage in a ground game, and then distanced himself, stood back up, and then just kicked him again, or punched him again, or uppercutted him.
Just seemed to have very high fight IQ in there. Yeah.
Yep.
Did very well.
And he talked about afterwards that the first time around was just too soon for him.
Yeah.
You know, which goes to show, you know, it's just there's levels to this shit, like.
And it's kind of a warning to up and coming fighters about getting in there too soon. Yeah.
Take your time.
Get as many fights as you can under your belt before you make that jump.
Absolutely, 100%.
Because there's not too many guys will come back 8 years later like he has. Once you're in there and out, you're out.
Yeah. A lot of guys get cut and then they just quit.
Yeah.
It's very hard to kind of, it's so hard to get there in the first place that if you get cut, it's like, oh, geez, I have to climb that mountain all over again. Like,
and it's harder to climb that mountain because all of a sudden you have a target on your back. You're ex-UFC. You're everyone that's somebody wants to fight you.
Yeah. Jason Witt, did you James Krause guy looked like Nate Marquardt?
Yeah.
A cross between Matt Hughes and GSP. Yeah, GSP ground and pound. He had Matt Hughes takedowns. He did the double leg takedowns and carried your man across the cage.
That was it. I was trying to remember what there was something really impressive about him. It was the lifting up and just running across the cage.
Just total domination.
Yeah.
Like, total domination.
That must take some phenomenal strength
to lift guys up.
Fair enough, I know, to get him up, and it's the same as a takedown, but to get that extension and to get him right up, control, and then slam, walk across the cage and slam. Is that not risky. Exhausting?
It's exhausting. Well, it's not too bad once the lift. Once they're up, they're up.
Yeah.
You know, once they're on your shoulders, it's not too bad. But the risky part about it is that once you launch them like he did, right, picked them up, carried them across, and then literally threw them on the floor.
Yeah.
It's very, very hard to maintain control when you slam somebody down like that, because they bounce.
Yeah.
They bounce and they get to their elbows straight away, and then they're starting to get up, and now you have a lot of work to do. But he was just so strong that he just managed to just like, nope, you're
Straight on
staying
top.
down.
Yeah.
No, and he was straight on he was attacking arm triangles, chokes, dropping massive elbows. So yeah, that was a one-sided whooping anyway, if ever there was one.
Yeah, very impressive.
The funniest fight was Strickland and Jack Marshman.
By the way, Strickland, for a guy that hasn't fought for the bones of 3 years, 2.5 years, he looked phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, the ref probably could have stopped at halfway through the second round, in my opinion. I know he wasn't accumulating that much damage.
No, but he was blocking everything with his face, yeah.
Yeah, he was literally one-twoing him, jabbing him. Yeah. His jab was lethal. His right hand was lethal.
Yeah.
Just kept coming with the same attack over and over again, and Marshman just kept walking forward. It was.
Well, we talked about this as well with Corey Sandhagen and Marlon Moraes a few weeks ago as well, and the mind games that were being played. Now, I know Strickland was making it out that it was fun, but it's like if you're on the receiving end of those kind of high fives and just go down, Jack. Why won't you fall, Jack? He's not joking with you. He's
laughing at you.
He's laughing at you, and I felt that Jack Marshman was being pulled into a submissive mindset. You know, so it was like Jack Marshman was taking the bait to stay in the fight, to take a beating.
Yeah.
Suddenly, it wasn't about winning anymore. It was about getting to the bell without being knocked out.
Yeah.
And I don't think Strickland did that
intentionally,
but that was the effect.
But I'll be honest, last 30 seconds of that fight after, what was he said? I'll give you a chance now, Jack. Come on, let's throw.
Yeah.
Oh, I so wanted Jack Marshman to knock
I would have loved it, yeah. I would have loved it.
He was being quite disrespectful in the last round. I know, like you say, maybe it wasn't intentional, psych games, whatever it was.
Yeah.
But like, you're completely outclassing a guy. Everyone can see that.
Yeah.
You don't need to pile on with stupid shit talk on top of it.
I would have been so angry with Jack Marshman if I was in his corner.
That he didn't give it more towards the end.
Yeah. Well, not like it wasn't any, like I don't think he could have given him any more, but for him to accept that type of disrespect, because you're being put in your box by somebody who's claiming victory before they've won the fight.
Yeah.
He was well ahead. There was no doubting that. Yeah. But this kind of showmanship was undermining Jack Marshman's skill level, and then
even if he'd have just come back, I'm still standing, you fucker, or whatever. Do you know what I mean? To give him something back. Yeah.
So it was an interesting one, but it was entertaining to watch, though.
it was rough to watch in the last round, but I was shouting for Marshman to get a wild overhand or something.
And he was so Marshman was doing a very, very traditional kind of a boxing style. And the biggest difference I found just from a striking point of view was footwork.
Yeah.
Strickland was able to get in and out with footwork. Marshman wasn't. Even though he was technically boxing very, very well. He was moving his head, but as soon as he went to throw a combination, he had to wind up. And as soon as he wound up, Strickland wasn't there anymore.
He was out there, yep.
And that comes down. That's the difference between. So there was a bunch of fighters throughout the cards this week that displayed that type of footwork. We're going to be talking about another couple of in a minute, but the same footwork that I said about Robert Whittaker being in and out, that karate style kind of kickboxing footwork, so important for wrestling. And like Jack Marshman was not going to get a takedown.
No,
because he wouldn't have been able to close the distance fast enough, and that's down to footwork.
Yeah,
it's like, okay, you can throw a 1-2. But that's only if they're standing right in front of you in the boxing range. But this is not boxing; it's MMA. There's going to be wrestling involved. You have to get up on your toes. You have to be able to move in and out.
Very, very impressive for a guy that's been out that long to come back and look that good, though.
Yep.
Be interesting to see who he's up against next.
I think he called out someone, didn't he? Did he call out someone? No, that was someone. I'm thinking of someone else.
You'd Yanez next.
Yanez, very impressed with Yanez. Very, very impressed with Yanez. Very smooth, heavy hands, and finished with a head kick KO. And again, another guy that was just like literally picking the shots. He was like a sniper picking those shots.
And set the trap for the head kick KO. It wasn't like it was just an opportune thing. He was giving him the opportunity to run away from him and ping.
And his opponent, Victor Rodriguez, is from Bang Muay Thai.
Is he?
Yep.
So like he's got
Wayne Van Ludwig.
He's a striking background. Like
he's got TJ Dillashaw to spar with.
Yeah.
Do you know, and they're bantamweights as well. So like he's got like some of the best bantamweights in the world to spar with. And Giannis just took him out of there as if he was as if they were two different leagues. You know.
Yeah.
That
was bantamweight as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, bantamweight.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, the bantamweight division, the lightweight division are frightening.
There's a lot of guys there.
Every single card, even Miles Johns on this one. Every single card, there seems to be a contender at lightweight, and most cards a contender at bantamweight.
And it's a skill level as well. They've all got skills. Like this next guy, Alexander Hernandez, as I was saying, lightweight against Chris Gritzmacher.
Yeah.
This was just a clinic of movement and shot selection as well. This is the thing about Hernandez is that he kept Gritz guessing. It was an outside leg kick. It was an inside leg kick. It was a switch kick to the head. It was a 1-2. And there was just never a single combination that was repeated over and over, you know. And like Gritzmacher is tough. I mean, like what he did to Joe Lozon a couple of years ago, like he made Joe Lozon quit on the stool, and Joe Lozon looked like he had an allergic reaction to a bee sting or something. It was like after he was swatting a wasp or something.
No, if Gritz gets a hold of you, it's a tough night, but. Fernandez just put on a clinic of striking, and
it's that movement again. Same Bobby Whittaker movement. Same with Alexander Yanis, and same with, like what I was saying. It's not just about like you got to be able to plant your feet for power.
Yeah,
you have to be able to get your feet gripped into the floor for power. But between those movements, it's in and out, left, right, back and forwards, and that's how you're going to get your wrestling, and that's also how you're going to sprawl against the wrestler as well. So, super impressed with him.
Onto the main card. What the Thiago Moises versus Green? There's been an ongoing debate. You scored it for Green, didn't you?
No, I scored it for for Moises.
You scored it for Moises. I actually scored it for Green.
Yeah.
It
was close though.
Could have gone either way.
Yeah, it was close.
I gave the second round to Green, third round to Moises, and the first one was genuinely a pick 'em. If it had been a 10-10, I wouldn't have been surprised.
Yeah. No, I had Moises shading that one based on just the effectiveness of the leg kicks.
Yeah.
I think Bobby Green was darting forwards with good speed and athleticism, but he just wasn't landing effectively. And the fact that he has his hands down, which is it's his fighting style, right? It's very hard to spot someone throwing punches when their hands are at their hips, but unfortunately, when you get clipped, it's far more dramatic.
Yeah.
Do you know, your head swings back. And the leg kicks were just causing him problems.
And there's no question as well, when your hands down, you got caught. You can't like, I parried it. It hit the arm before it hit. You know, it's every punch to the head is a significant strike at that point.
Yeah, high risk, high reward.
Yeah.
Kevin Holland.
Jesus Christ, that guy's a fucking animal.
Yeah.
Comes out then and says the next day that he wants to fight again in November.
Yeah. And December.
4-0 for the year already.
Yeah.
Oof. Back and forth with Izzy.
Yeah. Dana White was a bit worried after that fight though.
About
it was a neck injury. Yeah. That was a neck injury, and it
went out on a stretcher.
It looked really, really poor. Like, and did you see the commentary team? Who was commentating on it again? It was Bisping and the other dude. I don't know who the other dude is. No, it wasn't Anik. No, it's that younger guy.
Oh yeah, I can't.
No idea who his name is. But
he does the Dana White Contender series one.
Does he? Yeah. So Dana White came over to him and said he can move his hands and he can move his legs. That's all we need to know.
And that means it's
the fact that they had to check
it's
that.
Not broken. Yeah. But you could see, right, like as he landed, he was moving his legs when the fight was called.
Yeah.
But I was covering it live on the MMA Opinion and posting up the results.
Yeah.
And I posted the result before it was ever called verbal submission.
Yeah.
And immediately it was like, no, he was out cold. No, he was this. There was no verbal submission. I didn't hear anything. And I was like, I didn't have to hear it.
Yeah.
You could see by his reaction after it was a verbal submission because he clearly didn't tap.
Yeah.
But the ref stopped the fight as soon as they landed.
Yeah.
That can only be from a verbal submission.
Yeah.
Scary.
It's a scary thing to submit to as well when you hear like he obviously heard something in his neck crack or pop.
But this is the weird part as well. This is why Herb Dean is the best referee. I don't believe that he said I'm out, I quit, I tap.
Yeah.
I don't believe he said those words.
Yeah.
But he let out an audible groan.
Yeah.
And the ref went, no, he's
Yeah.
in trouble.
Yeah.
Like that's a huge call to make. Like anyone that gets slammed is going to feel some pain. Especially they were vicious slams.
Yeah.
But the fact that he was clued in enough to go, no, he's in big trouble here.
Yeah.
Call it straight away before there's any more damage done.
Yeah, 100%. I hope he's okay.
Yeah, well, they've tweeted saying that he's recovering and he's there's no major damage done.
So you were talking about Kevin Holland getting into it with Izzy Adesanya.
Yeah, oof, Jesus Christ, that man, he's not holding back at all.
No.
Like to come into the UFC, go on the streak that he's gone. Let's not forget, like he's a newbie.
Yeah,
he's not long signed. I think it was only last year. He's 4-0 already this year, and wants to fight every week.
Yeah,
and calling out the champ, and people were giving him shit because he's not ranked. That like you said, that's how you get ranked. That's how you get those fights. You call them out.
Young McGregor would have done the same thing.
Exactly. If the opportunity is there and there's not many people in the building, one of them happens to be the champ, you fucking shout at him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes pandemics will work in your favor.
Exactly. And then you look at the juxtaposition that Hall in the main event has a huge win over a former champion and doesn't say anything dizzy.
Yeah.
I mean, your opportunity is there.
Yeah, that's true. I actually didn't think of it that way.
But Holland, yeah, looks very impressive. I'd be interested. They have to give him top 15 next.
Well, he called up Mikey Pereira's. That would be
Jesus
a hell of a
Christ.
fight.
Yeah.
There'd be backflips and somersaults and
slams. By the way, there isn't too many folks out there calling out
Mikey
Pereira.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Yeah.
No, that's the one to make, I think.
Make that one next week, Dana. We'll go from there then.
There was a heavyweight shit show after that. Greg Hardy, your best buddy.
I cannot fucking stand this guy. I knew from the minute the first strike landed, I was like, oh, he's winning again. Green didn't really offer much to him. Hardy didn't look overly impressive, but he just has that KO power.
But Green was the favourite.
Oh, I know, but I knew from early on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, once it started.
Yeah. Green looked hesitant. He didn't look like he wanted to engage much with him.
Yeah, well, after the first exchange, he felt the power and he didn't want any more to do with it, you know.
Yeah,
and he had nothing on the ground.
He looked like a guy that if the ref had gone, "Do you want to get out?" he would have immediately gone, "Yep,
Open
get
the
me
door,
the fuck out of here." Because at points he looked like he was almost kind of looking over his shoulder, like, is anyone going to throw in a towel or? Yeah, no. Horrible. Jesus Christ. Every Hardy fight I watch, and people will say it's impressive because he got the knockout. Every Hardy fight I watch is just, there's no technique. It's horrible.
Yeah.
It's not UFC caliber. It's just not.
Yeah. Although he is now being mentored by Rashad Evans, so maybe we will see. Like he did show a little bit of patience.
And on the ground, he didn't. I'll admit, he controlled him on the ground. But that's
that was only because what's his name?
Green
had
nothing.
Fucking nothing in terms of a guard. He wasn't even closing up his guard. He was doing grapevines from the bottom.
Yeah.
Now grapevines from the bottom, grand as a kind of an off balancing technique, but he was using it as his guard.
Yeah.
Now that's like trying to tell somebody to get off you, but you're holding them at the same time.
Yeah.
Which one do you want, Green? Do you want them off you, or do you want to hold him on you? And like literally, Greg Hardy's control was not done by Greg Hardy. Greg Hardy controlling Green was done by Green. You know, so Green beat himself up. He was fighting 1.5 people in there.
Yeah, look, horrible again.
I actually had
I want the UFC to throw this man to the wolves once and for all. I know you say the Volkov fight, but let's be fair. Volkov, that was good matchmaking on the UFC's part, in that Volkov isn't going to go in there and try and murder a guy that has lethal power. And let's be fair, he does have lethal power, but that's all he has. Volkov's going to go in and just poke you around and make fun of you and fucking make you look like a bad fighter, which is what he did. I want him to put him in there against the fucking killer, someone who's going to hurt the man. Someone like Curtis Blades, like you said, Derek Lewis. Ooh.
Yeah, someone that's going to put him on the floor.
Yeah, give him one. Even Derek Lewis won't care on the feet. Derek Lewis will go, you swing, boy. Work away. I'll swing just as hard.
The only thing is he does have a serious amount of athleticism, and the reason I know that is because we had Ryan Spillane here do the combine, the
NFL combine. You were saying that,
and we were comparing scores against Greg Hardy, and Greg Hardy was the top of the list of the heavyweights that signed from NFL to the UFC, including beating Brock Lesnar for things like explosiveness and bench press and stuff like that.
Shit.
So as an athlete, he's phenomenal.
Freak.
He's still a wife beater and a bit of a dick.
But yeah, no. Look,
Well, he did do time for it.
did he?
He did.
Did he actually do time?
He
for
did
it?
time for it. That was the controversy about it. That's why they put him on the same card
There
as
you
Rachel
go. I
Ostrovich.
take back my allegedly. Fuck that guy. I know it was basically proven, but I didn't know he actually did time.
I'm pretty sure he was in jail for it.
Yeah, fucker. Yeah, and putting him on the same card as Rachel Ostrovich.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. And that was actually that Jorgen de Castro fight.
Okay.
And I can remember I hated that fight from the minute it started, and I just did. The whole thing bugged me, and it was the Rachel Ostrovich. I'd forgotten why the whole thing bugged me, but yeah.
I was actually messaging. I don't know, should I be saying this on air? But I was messaging back and forth with
go for it.
with a medical professional afterwards about Maurice Green. I noticed he had a very, very severe lazy eye.
Oh yeah, they look in opposite directions. Yeah.
Yeah, there's one looking at you and one looking for you. I was wondering, how the hell do you pass an MMA medical with like basically he's got monovision because like, one of those eyes is not giving him visual information, and if it is, it's like he's got stereo vision, or he's watching, like as you say, he was looking for the towel with the other eye.
Yeah. Maybe that's why I thought he was looking for a way out. The poor bastard, I'm wrong in him. He couldn't control it.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out like how can you pass, because like medicals are so strict. Well, they are at amateur level in Ireland. Again, they're so
Liam,
strict.
I fought at amateur level, well, kind of in Ireland, and I'm basically blind without my glasses.
Yeah, but you're getting visual information from two eyes.
Yeah, but my left eye is almost legally blind.
So right, fair enough. Fair enough. Look, well, his definitely is.
Well, one of them is definitely like you say. If they're doing the eye test and they cover one eye, they have to turn him around sideways and they're doing the second eye.
I know. Poor bastard. But anyway,
shitting on him. He's had a rough enough week now to do what's fucking piling on. Yeah, no. Look, they're gonna if he can see, they're gonna clear him.
Well, the answer I got was that if he lost the good eye, if there's enough vision in the poor eye to last him for the rest of his life, then they'd clear him. It's not about having stereo vision or having depth perception, because his depth perception is off.
Yeah.
He can't have depth perception with the way his eyes are focused. But if, like Bisbing, he lost an eye, then the let's say if it was his good eye, the one that's pointing forward, then the other eye would rotate back to compensate then. So it's a weird one. It's very, very weird. It's just so unusual. I don't know of any other fighter that's got that, But it's an unusual one. Is it co-main event was Andre Philly? It was
co-main. Yeah.
Touchy Feely and Bryce Mitchell. What a fight!
Loved
this one.
Before I even get started on Bryce Mitchell, Andre Feely looked phenomenal in that against, in my opinion, a killer at 145 pounds. And Feely, I've been saying that he's in and out, and when he's off, he's terrible. When he's on, he's very good. He was on Saturday night. He looked brilliant. The scrambles were very good. Yeah.
He was training with Gary Tonin to
get off his back.
Yeah. And you can actually see the escapes. That kind of like he was kind of like bucking to escape. That's a Gary Tonin special.
Is it?
Yeah.
And it was like almost playing possum for 20 seconds and then a massive explosion.
Yeah. No, it was very, very good, very impressive. But even more impressive was Bryce then just passing at will.
And the amount of takedowns at will. And Feely's not an easy guy to take down.
No, not at all. And coming from alpha fight team as well. Alpha male?
Alpha male, yeah.
Alpha male, yeah. Like full of wrestlers. All wrestlers.
Chad Mendez, the list goes on. There's serious wrestlers there. But Bryce Mitchell, by the way, not only to take, we know why he's brilliant at, and he showed that on Saturday night. I know a lot of people will say he didn't get the sub or wasn't good enough, but he's against a legit guy.
Yeah.
But his striking looked phenomenal against Feely. I know Feely outpointed him in the second round, in my opinion, but Mitchell never looked hurt. He caught Feely a couple of times. He didn't look out of his depth on his feet in any way, shape or form against what you'd consider a high-level striker in the featherweight division. Yeah,
and
he's going to be a nightmare for
a lot of his wrestling was set up with good shots as well, like that big overhand right and then shot in for the double.
Yeah.
But I actually have that fight as a study.
Yeah,
I pulled like 5 or 6 sequences out of that fight that will keep me busy with the fight team for the next month.
Yeah,
you know, phenomenal, absolutely beautiful jiu-jitsu, brilliant wrestling, great MMA fight IQ, good striking, as you say as well.
Yeah.
Just a beautiful performance. I think it's even more impressive that he didn't get the submission.
Yeah,
because
the fact that we got to see him full 15 minutes, what he's capable of, and the fact that everyone could argue that it was 1-1 going into the third round.
Yeah.
Like to see that mentality to come out in the third round and dominate again.
Yeah, yeah.
Just
definitely.
I think he's I won't go so far right now to say future champ, but he's going to give every single person ranked problems at 145 pounds. Every single person.
He only really made one mistake, and we were talking about this. Those fucking shorts.
Oh my God,
they're awful. Like, someone in the design department in Reebok needs to look up what camouflage looks like.
Camouflage is, yeah. Yeah, it was basically an autumn leaf background of a Windows 98 computer.
Yep.
It's just
I think there was a bird in there too.
Someone, by the way, I saw get this. This is some creepy shit right here. Someone like paused their TV and circled. There was a face on one of the leaves. Like a really creepy face. I'm going to find a few after the show. I might even share it on the socials. But like there was a picture of like one of the leaves in the corner of the leaf, whatever way the shading was. It's clearly someone's face.
Is it Jesus?
Into one of the I don't know what the
could be Jesus.
Yeah.
All these American evangelicals are
looked more like Khabib.
That'd be scary enough.
A tribute to Khabib on his fucking shorts. But yeah, they were horrible fucking.
But even the red text on green camo. I mean, if it's camo, put fucking
white.
Get white or even like a dark green or something like that. Camouflage the name in there as well. Like go with the flow of the thing.
Yeah, well, they were horrible fucking jokes.
Absolutely detestable.
And for the record, not camouflage shorts.
No, definitely not camo.
Absolutely not camo.
Definitely not camo. Someone in the design department needs to get fired fast.
Yeah. There's lots of people in the UFC needs to get fired. But we'll get into it.
Right, main event. We kind of touched on it already, but Urijah Hall, Anderson Silva.
Yeah. I suppose, look, the takeaway factor is, like we said, if that's a 3-round fight, it's hard to pick against Anderson Silva.
Yeah.
But you look at that 4th round, and when he got caught, there wasn't much of an offering from him. Like,
well, this is it. I think just his brain is now starting to show the signs of wear and tear.
Career,
yeah, and like he has been hit a lot. Like starting with that Chris Weidman knockout, like he looked like he wasn't never going to be knocked out until Chris Weidman knocked him out, and then you know ever since then it's just like he can get touched. When he gets touched, he does the chicken dance, or he falls over, and that's just not a good sign. That's something that you really can't you can't recover from that. You can't go back. You can't wind the clock back on your brain. I think it's time to retire. I think it wasn't a great fight for Urijah Hall, even though he got the win.
That's what I was going to ask. What do you do with Hall next?
Yeah,
three wins in a row now. Arguably the biggest of his career in stature-wise.
Yeah,
and I suppose going back to what we were talking about last week and the mentality and where his head was at, the fact that he got the win in probably the biggest fight of his career, there was a lot going on in his head going into this fight, being his hero and whatever. The fact that he did go out and get the win, like where does he go to next? Because we've seen him against the elite and what has happened previously. Do we throw him back in there again, or
is it Robert Whittaker beat him already?
I don't think he's fought Whittaker. I could be wrong now, but
it was Robert Whittaker beat Darren Till, right?
Yeah.
So it's got to be Robert Whittaker next.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
Yeah, but I mean, like he's either got it or he doesn't.
Go? Yeah.
He's either, like they're both on a win.
Yeah.
No, are they? Yeah, they're both on a win.
Yeah.
So and they fought. They're on the same timetable.
Robert's on 2 and he's on 3 wins. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think they're the next choice. I think, and
that's a
sink or swim.
Horrible matchup from now.
Yeah. But I mean, like the thing is that he's either got it at this stage or he hasn't.
Yeah.
And you know, there's no point in kind of giving him a match that suits him If he's the champ, he needs to beat everyone.
Yeah.
And
And
almost certainly Bobby Whittaker.
At some point, to get to the champ, he's going to have to go through one of those guys anyway.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And the interesting thing, though, just on a side note to that Dana White said that Robert Whittaker refused the Adesanya rematch.
I don't believe he refused it. I mean, his wording after the fight was that he's not going calling for it. He said, and this he said on the MMA, or Ariel Helwani's MMA show, he said he's not going calling for the fight. He was everybody does that. He was like, if they give me the fight, great. If they don't, I'll fight whoever they put in front of me. He was like, that's where my head's at. I don't believe he ever told Dana White he didn't want to fight.
Okay.
Can
sounds out of character.
Can you imagine Robert Whittaker saying no to a title fight? Just I can't see that in any way, shape, or form.
Although
especially with two very impressive wins.
I think it was on the countdown to UFC. He did mention the fact that he was almost relieved not to be the champion.
He did
so
say
maybe
that.
Maybe there's something there about it or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah, maybe he just doesn't want to just yet. Get back and get 3, 4, 5 wins.
Have another couple of 3-round fights.
Yeah,
he's sick of the 5-round fights.
Yeah.
So what are we on next?
Suppose we're going to preview. We'll start out with UFC next weekend. UFC Las Vegas 13. It's hard to keep up with the names because they all have their UFC Fight Island number or UFC Las Vegas number. But they also have. So last week was UFC
nights.
Fight Night 181, and this week is UFC on ESPN 6.
You're better off just going with the main event.
Yeah, UFC Santos versus Texeira. There you go.
Yeah.
Call it that.
I love this fight. I love this fight. Although I don't see a hope for Texeira.
No, God, no. Look, I was looking at this card and that light heavyweight division, there's a few old boys hanging around there. Texeira is 41 years old. I know they're not old to you now, Liam, but did you know Thiago Santos is 36 years old?
Jesus, he's looking well for 36. There's a bit of TRT in him, I'd say.
100%. He's TRT for breakfast. Will you stop? But I had no idea he was that old. There's not that many young guys at 205.
Yeah, but the thing is, with the lightweights and or the heavier guys, their careers can go on for a bit longer. You know, but I'm just looking at Teixeira's last fight was extremely impressive win, domination over Anthony Smith, where he knocked out all his teeth and everything.
Yep.
The only thing is that I just think that Thiago Santos is just way too big, way too strong. Thiago Santos also has a win over the current
Jan Blachovicz,
current champ, and arguably a win over John Jones as well.
Yeah, I would argue that. I gave it to him. Yeah. And a win over Smith, a win over Manoa, a win over Holland, Kevin Holland in Kevin Holland's debut.
Yeah,
as good as Kevin Holland has looked since. The one thing I would say about Teixeira's chances in this is Texeira for so many years was the almost guy.
Yeah,
the guy who, even though his jiu-jitsu was always there, he wanted to strike with all these big hitters.
Yeah,
like I throw back to the Rumble Johnson fight when he went out and tried to. When Rumble Johnson was the most feared striker in the UFC at the time. I don't think there was anyone questioning that. And he went out and tried to strike with him and got knocked out in 13, 14 seconds or something. Whereas of late, his last 4 fights, he's on a 4-fight win streak. Smith, Krylov, Kutalaba, and Karl Robertson, who came off Dana White's Contender series. He's played it smart, wrestled when he's need to wrestle. He used his jiu-jitsu, struck with guys when it was appropriate. He has looked a lot smarter.
So you think there might be a case for the crafty veteran here?
Because Santos is who he is and the power that he has.
Yeah.
This to me is, are we going to see the same Teixeira that went out against Rumble Johnson? Or are we going to see the new Teixeira? If we see the Teixeira, if he tries to strike with Santos, he's going out cold in the first round. I wouldn't hesitate to back on that. But if we see Teixeira, a new Teixeira, where he goes out and tries to wrestle with him, grapple with him, he might push the fight a little bit longer. I still see him losing that fight.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with Santos's grappling, I'll be honest.
We haven't seen much of it in the UFC. He's been able to just basically destroy everyone put in front of him. He's 15 KOs in his 21 wins. No submission victory. One submission victory.
Yeah.
So he's not... I can't imagine he's a black belt or any.
Yeah.
No, he could. Look,
He could be.
He could be.
These
but
Brazilian lads are black belts, and they just like to strike.
But I would give the edge to Texeira in that world. But look, if you get to 21-7 at light heavyweight, you've met some wrestlers. Simple as that. He's going to know how to stop a takedown. He's going to, especially with the strength he has. If Texeira's trying to take him down against the cage, he'll get nowhere. Texeira's got to try and take him down in the open, and especially in that small cage, it'll be tough.
And Santos is definitely somebody that can move to heavyweight after this as well.
100%.
He's huge. Yeah, he's a huge light heavyweight.
Massive
even just looking at his picture, his profile picture of him standing on the scales, and you can see what he had for breakfast. Like, he's literally ripped. There's nothing on him. Like,
and Glover Texeira is one of the smaller 205ers.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, like height wise, reach wise, everything. Like I can see a head kick. I can see just vicious beating to the body with kicks. Yeah, could be a really rough night for Texeira. I hope he comes in and plays it smart and tries to. Yeah,
it's an interesting fight though. It will be lovely to see Texeira kind of do well. I don't even need to see him win. I just need to see him do well. I think he's been around long enough. I think he's kind of like, you know, the as you say, the nearly never guy. You know, I don't want to see him getting knocked out early on this.
No,
you know, it'd be just a shame.
So who are you picking?
It's Santos. I don't think Texeira has a hope, really. I'll be honest.
Yeah, no, I'm the same. Santos. I hope he does well, like you say, but I don't see it. Yeah. Moving up to heavyweight, then you have Andrei Arlovsky, who's also 41 years old, might have pointed out, but looking at fresh 41.
Yeah,
he looks nearly better now than he does when he was in his early 30s. Yeah.
But he's another guy that's kind of similar to what you said about Texeira. He's one that's moving into his kind of grappling roots in the last few fights as well, particularly the over-under clinch and the body lock, and getting kind of Sambo-style takedowns from inside range. It's good. Like, it's good to see him, you know, because he is like back in the day when he came into the UFC first, he was known as the Sambo guy.
Yeah,
you know, and everybody was like, "Don't they do leg locks?"
Yeah.
You know, he has a leg lock win over Tim Silva. No, it wasn't even a leg lock, and Tim Silva did nothing.
Tim Silva just freaked out and tapped.
Exactly. Like,
he was like, "What is this guy doing to my leg?"
He's got dangly legs at the best of times. Like, he'd break his own legs just by walking, you know. Yeah. But so I mean, like, he definitely does have grappling in his arsenal. Might as well use it.
But then again, right? So, and I agree with you. He has looked much better. But 2-5 in his last 7.
Yeah.
He had 2 wins before that and 5 losses. 4 of them were TKO, 1 sub before that again.
Yeah.
Like, he's
a gatekeeper now.
But even with that, we were talking about Silva and the rattling he's taken.
Yeah.
I think Arlovsky could be in that discussion as well. And he's coming up against Tanner Boser. 29-year-old kid, essentially, in this division.
Yeah.
He's a knockout machine. 3-1 UFC, 4-1 his last 5. His only loss was to Cyril Gann, who's been very impressive thus far in heavyweight. This guy could be a nightmare for Arlovsky.
Yeah,
I can see this one ending quick as well. Who'd you have?
I'm going to go with Arlovsky on this one. I just think that he's going to tie him up. I think he's going to tie him up. Yeah, I think Arlovsky is he's done well in. Like, I know he's dropped a lot of losses. A lot of them have been decisions though as well. Certainly his last 5, any losses have been kind of, he's been outpointed or he just
only
hasn't.
1 KO loss in the last 7. Yeah.
So like I see him understanding the danger when it comes to Tanner Boser and being such an experienced striker himself. I don't see him sticking his chin out and getting KO'd, and I see him tying Tanner Boser up, maybe pushing him against the fence and either losing a very close decision or winning a very close decision. I see this going the distance anyway.
And I hope you're right again on this one, but I'm going with Tanner Boser. I think
I have to go for all these 40-year-old lads. Like,
I think your boy knocks him out early. Next up is Ian Heinisch versus Brendan Allen.
Yeah.
Big middleweight bout here.
That's right.
Brendan Allen looking to crack the top 15. Heinisch just ranked 15. 3-2 in the UFC since coming off Dana White Contender Series. Allen as well, Dana White Contender Series alum, who's 3-0 since. Heinisch only lost to Brunson and Akhmedov. Tough one to call. And to be honest, Allen's wins have looked more impressive. Bohinish has looked more impressive. Allen's beaten Tom Breeze, he's beaten Kevin Holland, he's beaten Chris Daukaus. None of them are an easy fight since he signed. 3-0 for the promotion, 7-fight win streak.
Yeah.
Very hard to look past him. Bohinish just looks like he's a grittier fighter. And it's 2 big wins as well, in fairness.
Yep. My ignorance is shown on these two guys. I didn't have a clue who they're, to be honest.
Yeah.
But just based on
they're
I'll be doing MMA math on these guys now. That's as much as my prediction is going to come.
MMA math 14-3 against 15-3. You're in trouble. Yeah, no. I would lean towards Allen.
I would have to agree.
Yeah,
but not for any knowledgeable reason from my part anyway.
Don't bother.
The bantamweights, are they next, or did you skip them, or are we not? We're not counting them because they're small fellas.
Bantamweights, go on, tell me more.
We have we have Ioni Barcelos. His 5th UFC appearance, last win against Saeed Nurmagomedov, whom you confirmed has no relation to Habib Nurmagomedov.
So the internet says anyway.
And he's fighting, I think it's a German dude or is a Belgian dude. It's one of those flags. I think it's Belgium actually. Khalid Taha, 14-2, so 15-1 versus 14-2. Nice. I know nothing about either of the two of them.
First time hearing that this is even a fight on the card.
Well, it's on Tapology. You're a Sherdog man.
I'm a Sherdog man. It wasn't up the top of the page, so I didn't read it. Yeah, tell me more. Are they?
That's
debutants,
sum total.
Or have they?
No. Both of them have had 4 or 5 fights in the UFC already, which almost makes me feel embarrassed that I don't recognize their names.
Neither do I.
Yeah. But like that's the thing, like the depth in the bantamweight division, like
crazy. And look, like we only just touched on it a while ago. Bantamweight division, there's going to be entertaining fights. Lightweight division is going to be entertaining fights. Do you want to make a pick on it? Wild guess.
Wild guess. I'm gonna go Barcelos. But that's literally a time cost. I have no idea.
I'm gonna go Europe. I'm gonna go Taha.
Cool. Now the strawweight bout, that's going to be a cracker.
Actually, genuinely looking forward to this one.
Yeah.
Claudia Gadelha versus Xuanin Yan.
Oh, well done.
that could be completely wrong. Like I put a bit of an accent on it. It sounded right.
That's all the visits to the Chinese restaurant are paying off.
Yeah. The number 6 there, please. Yeah, Xuanin Yan looks very, very, very impressive. Could be a big contender and following in the footsteps of Weili Zhang as well.
Yeah.
There's going
to there's a wave coming from China as well. We've talked about the wave coming
women's
from
MMA.
Yeah, huge.
You look at some of them teenagers fighting for one at the moment.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ!
But you see, they have the strong gymnastics background in China. So, like whereas we say in Dagestan and Chechnya, the girls are basically they don't do sports. You know, you're not included here. It's all fellas. So you're going to see a lot of that. But with the girls in China, they're as ferociously competitive in their sports as the fellas are.
From 2, 3, 4 years old.
Oh, they're locked in containers. As Billy Connolly said, you put them in a container, throw in a handful of muesli twice a day and tell them do the splits.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
One step short of trafficking. But yeah, this girl, she's eating her muesli anyway. 5-0 since signing for the UFC.
Yeah.
Unbeaten in her last 11. 21
and
overall.
who's she taking out there again? Can you remember?
Angela Hill in her last one and Karolina
they've both got
as well.
Oh, yeah, Kovalkiewicz. That's the impressive one for me.
Yeah.
Because I think like Kovalkiewicz is like, you know, she was the bridesmaid to Joanna Jędrzejczyk.
100%.
You know,
and pushed her very close.
Yeah,
and has the couple of losses she's had since been unlucky. She's never really been completely outclassed. She's she's in that discussion of the top 5 or 6 in that division. And Claudia Gadelha, I mean, you talk about the almost girl. I mean, Claudia Gadelha has been the almost girl her whole career. She's coming off 2 wins as well against Hill and Marcos. And she's 5-2 since the loss to JJ. Joanna champion, or Joanna Jacek. Her only losses, well, she'd lost to Andrade, which is, I mean, who doesn't lose to Andrade? But she's a worrying loss to Nina Ansaroff. There's no disrespect to Ansaroff, but I think that's one that Gedalia would have fancied herself in.
Well, definitely Jan has the more impressive win streak coming into this fight. I would
100%. Yeah,
I would. I'm Team China for this one.
Oh, 100% the same. Yeah,
she's gonna cough on her and give her the Wuhan virus as well.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
Where's Dave Doran?
There's none of it left over there. Will you stop? They just sent it around the world and they fucking closed the borders. They were smart.
Here we go.
Yeah, it's Gedalia, top contender, but I don't see her getting it in this one. Yeah. Other than that, there's a few fights in the card. Apparently, there's a bantamweight one on the main card that I didn't know about, but it's not exactly.
There's a lot of fights in
the
that card.
most stacked card.
Yeah.
Bellator 251.
Yeah.
The only fight really on this that is of massive prevalence is the main event, Melvin Manoff against Corey Anderson.
Yeah.
Corey Anderson making his debut with the promotion, and coming off his last fight was a loss to Jan Blachovicz.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, he had a 4-fight win streak, beating Texeira, Walker, Latifi.
Yep.
Like
serious
the guy's probably top 5 worldwide at light heavyweight.
100%.
Or at middleweight. Jesus Christ. No, light heavyweight, yeah.
No, light heavy, yeah.
Going up against Melvin Manoff, who's looked really impressive. 2-fight win streak. Before that, he had 2 losses to Carvalho. 4-3, 1 no contest overall in Bellator. But has looked back to the old Manoff. Notable wins, I suppose, for Manoff would be Mark Hunt, KO at heavyweight. He's a win over Sakuraba as well, KO.
Yep.
I mean, this guy's beaten legends.
Yeah.
So
he is a legend.
The one thing that I've noticed, the UFC fighters going over to Bellator in their first fight seems to be the one where they're all on watery legs, or that it's all new and they haven't looked themselves at all.
They're looking for the corners of the octagon, and it's a
it's
ring.
like, where the fuck?
They're confused.
This thing's round.
It's an optical illusion.
I wouldn't be very shocked with an upset here.
Yeah, I think it would be an upset, though. I have Corey Anderson for this one, and for the same reason as when Roy McDonald fought Paul Daly in Bellator as well.
Yeah.
For a very similar reason. I think that if it was a kickboxing match all day long, Melvin Manoff, but this is MMA against a very, very strong competitive grappler, like it's clinch grappler, and like, you know, he's not going to stand and trade with Manoff at all. I would hope he doesn't.
You'd be very surprised if he did, yeah.
And he's just going to take him down, hold him down, and ground him out. He may or may not finish him, but I don't see a hope for Manoff in this.
Yeah,
puncher chance.
I would be picking Anderson as well, but I'm just saying it wouldn't be a massive shock if Manoff, as big a shock as you would imagine.
It'd be good for Bellator if he did win, though.
It'd be huge for Bellator, yeah. Co-main, you have Terrell Fortune versus Saeed Soma.
Yeah. I don't know a lot about these guys, but they are heavyweights. They're in Ryan Spillane division, so I will be watching out.
Terrell Fortune he's no contest in his last fight, and then an 8-fight win streak before that, all in Bellator. So the guy's basically, like Ryan's doing, come into Bellator as and he's had his whole career there. Interesting to see that he's gone 8-1. I'd question some of the opponents that he was up against, but it's kind of a bit of a step up now. He's against a guy who's 6-1, who's fought all over, and is making his debut. He's 4 finishes, 3 TKOs, 1 sub, and looks impressive from what I can tell. So his toughest test so far for Terrell Fortune.
Yeah.
This is a complete fucking pick'em, but you'd have to lean towards Terrell. That's the guy they're building up.
Yep. I agree, and I think he has a strong wrestling background as well from what I've seen. So, you know, anytime there's any kind of doubt in my mind, I would go with
lean towards the wrestler.
Lean toward the wrestler most of the time. Do you know? I don't actually know him. I'm looking down through the rest of the list. I don't know any of them.
On the rest of the card,
yeah.
You've Austin Vanderford in the main event, or in the main card.
Main card, middleweight.
So basically, Austin Vanderford, he's Paige Van Zandt's husband. This is another way of describing him. But he has looked impressive, 3-0 in Bellator. And the guy can kind of do it all. He has 3 knockouts, 3 subs, 3 decisions. He's looked very, very impressive. Coming up against Chris Curtis, very experienced guy, 30 fights, and he's making his debut, coming off a win. But then again, he went to PFL and he went 1-3 in PFL. 3 losses in a row and got cut. So maybe didn't quite cut it at the big show. But you'd probably fancy Van der Voort in this one.
Yep.
Despite the edge in experience going to Curtis. And the only other fight I suppose that I would mention there is Julius Anglicus 8-1 against Alex Polizzi 7-0. Easy Polizzi looked very impressive with a win over Rafael Carvalho in his debut and got the decision. Before that, he is all finishes, 3 TKOs, 3 subs.
Yep.
So look for another big victory there.
Okay. Awesome. I must check those guys out.
And you wanted to kind of quickly touch on one and...
just the fact that it's on.
Yeah.
That's about it, really. That's about as much as I know. There's only 5 or 6 fights on the card.
Yeah.
It's a very small card, and one of those is a Muay Thai fight. But the main event, I suppose, really, just the only interesting thing that I have about the main event, it's a guy from Kyrgyzstan, Kriamrian Abasov, against James Nakashima from USA, obviously, Japanese descent. Both of these guys have wins over Yushin Okami in their last fights, which
is impressive.
That's impressive, yeah. Yushin Okami, like he may not be like he's on the twilight of his career, but I don't think he's an easy fight for anybody at any point of his career. He's like, you know, he didn't really take that much damage in his career, so it's not like he's it's not like he's gone chinny or anything like that. It's just like he's a tough wrestler, all round grappler, good striker, you know. So anybody who can beat Yushin Okami is definitely a talented fighter. Abasov has almost 30 fights, 22-4. And as I said, then James Nakashima, he's coming in 12-0, unbeaten. So this is for their middleweight strap. So 5-rounder.
Nice.
Be an interesting one. I don't recognize any of the rest of the fighters on the card, but that's nothing to do with them. It's more to do with me not knowing the Asian market. But I'm going to have a chance of watching the event.
Yeah.
You know, obviously there's going to be some contenders come out of there,
definitely.
Like, particularly we're talking about like the female, the Chinese females as well.
Yeah.
Like they would have come through this circuit, so a few future champions coming through there, no doubt.
And speaking of future contenders, you have Dana White's Contender Series, as we touched on, is starting again on Wednesday night.
Yep.
Which I imagine they're dropping the Tuesday out of the name of the event. No, it was always called Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series.
No, it is going back to Tuesday.
All right.
But I think the problem here is that you have the election is on Tuesday.
Oh, so they're just switching it up.
Yeah, I don't think
for one time only.
For one time only. Yeah, I don't think there'll be a lot of people interested in watching anything except the election. It's going to be fucking crazy this Tuesday.
But for anyone who has UFC Fight Pass, which is only $9.99 a month.
Yep.
I'm not plugging it deliberately, but I'm just saying it's only $9.99 a month.
The affiliate link is in the description.
Yeah. I fucking wish. This, like, if you like fights that finish, that people are going out there to take each other's head off, you need to watch Dana White Contender Series. I've been on this for 4 years now, or 4 seasons, however long that's been. I think about 3 years, 4 or 5 seasons, and it is phenomenal. Every fight is phenomenal. And in the main event, you have City Kickboxing, Izzy's buddy.
Yeah, Carlos Ulberg. They're in the light heavyweight division. Now, he's only 2-0 as a pro. He must have had a long amateur kickboxing career. I don't see, like, there's nothing on his amateur career for MMA, but he did win the King of the Ring title with 3 fights in one night, recently enough. So it's 3 pro kickboxing fights, 2 pro MMA fights, and he's up against Bruno Oliveira, 8-1. Now, there's a bit of I see a bit of a problem here in that Carlos Ulberg usually fights a heavyweight.
Okay.
And is now fighting at light heavyweight for this. Maybe this is a permanent move, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I also noticed that Bruno Oliveira usually fights at middleweight.
Oh.
So you've got guys coming from opposite directions to fight in the middle. So
he's going to be much bigger than him on fight night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and this will give us a good taste of what competition Izzy's sparring with and 205.
Mm-hmm. True. True,
especially
very
if
true.
he's a kickboxer and he's teasing that Jones fight. It'd be interesting to see what kind of competition he's got there in city kickboxing.
Yeah. Well, by all accounts, there's an army of legends coming out of that gym anyway. So.
Yep.
But I like a lot of the other. There's a selection of fights. There's a heavyweight in there. One interesting heavyweight is Jared Van der Aa. I don't know if I've just murdered that name or not, but he's one of the few, very, very few American fighters that actually has more than 10 amateur fights.
At heavyweight,
At heavyweight, yeah. So no, I don't know if they're.
That's even more impressive, yeah.
Yeah. So he's got a good stint of fights coming into this. Now they could be horrible, but.
And what's his pro record?
Of course, it's the one I didn't write down.
Go on.
You
can look it up, folks.
It's a bit of a
just try and
I think
we won't spell it out for you. Go off Liam's pronunciation.
Van der Aa. But no, he's got. As far as I remember, he had like almost 10 fights in pro as well, like 10 fights amateur, 10 fights pro. So there's a good level of experience in there. Yeah.
Well, he's not in this show for nothing.
That's true.
You look at the guys that have come off it, and they all look like killers.
Like everybody that's on the Contender series could potentially be a UFC debut. If the Contender series wasn't there, or if the Tough was there, then these would just be straight debuts.
Easily. Get this. There's an amount of guys that have lost on Contender series have made their debut shortly after.
Yeah. No, it is definitely a breeding ground.
They're all getting short notice calls, but
yeah,
they're looking at this as the next wave. Like,
and has there been anybody from Cage Warriors on there?
On Contender series, I don't think so. I think there might have been in earlier seasons. So you had what's his fucking name?
Brendan Loughnane.
Brendan Loughnane.
Was he Cage Warriors? Was he, or was he?
He was Bama for a while. He definitely fought in Cage Warriors earlier.
Yeah, he's PFL now. He's well.
But there was a couple of guys in the first two or three seasons come over from Europe, and one or two of them would have fought in Cage Warriors. But a lot of the Cage Warriors guys, they're sticking with Cage Warriors, knowing that if they get to a belt in Cage Warriors, they're likely to get a UFC contract. So
well, if they defend it at least anyway. Yeah. But it's something that I know you've been saying it for a long time, that it's definitely worth watching. Yeah. Since I've started kind of researching a little bit more into the fighters now, it's definitely my next port to call. Yeah. I'm going to be watching on Wednesday night.
Very good.
So busy week of fights. So we have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and we didn't even mention Brave. Brave is also on as well.
Thursday as well, I believe.
Now, no idea who's fighting on Brave. I don't think any of the Irish lads are on.
No.
So so I don't know.
There's a couple of OVs, Med-OVs, and other of such names.
OVs, yeah.
Yeah.
As you would expect.
Yeah.
But so yeah, you're going to be talking to
Mr.
Rhys McKee. Looking forward to that conversation. Yeah. We've got a lot of questions lined up for him.
Yeah, of course. No, look, realistically, I kind of want to get in with him about the making the debut on short notice against Hamzat.
Yep.
And like he's booked now to fight Alex Moreno. I know he's teased the move down to lightweight, but I think this fight is scheduled to take place at welterweight as well. And kind of where he sees himself in that lightweight division, and kind of go from there.
Yep. And I suppose we'll play a bit of the clip now as part of this episode, but the full episode will be released tomorrow.
Yeah.
So for any of you that are fans of Rhys McKee, and I know a lot of Irish MMA athletes are fans of Rhys McKee. We've all kind of
followed
seen
his
star rising. You know, he has been on the scene a long time, and certainly deserved his call up to the UFC, and was unlucky to get the call up against kind of. But look, as we know from the likes of Neil Seary as well, once you answer the call and you make that effort to get in at short notice, and you you take one for the team,
you're going to be looked after.
You're going to be looked after, and I think he made the right move.
Definitely.
So looking forward to seeing his career. Looking forward to hearing your chat with him as well.
Very good.
So what are we going to get people to do? They're going to have to like and subscribe and all that kind of stuff.
Follow on all the socials. It's you see our Twitter handles were up there earlier on, and
P_OD on Twitter. for lots of dick pics and all that good
That's
stuff.
only on the DMs, though. Please don't send me dick pics.
You'll find me at Liam OG Griffin on Twitter also, and
Blood and Bandage.
Blood and Bandage
MMA.
On Twitter, and give us an all tweet and comment on what you make of our new look on the both the logo and the video feed as well, with all the overlays and stuff like that, and what you make of the intro.
And give us an all like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
YouTube as well.
Yeah, and check out our Grindr profiles. And so that's pretty much it. I suppose we'll play them out with our intro again.
See you next week, guys.
All right.
I want to fight with Chuck. Chuck.
I think he just blew his wad there.
Anderson Silva, you absolutely suck.
Are you still drunk right now? Are you still drunk or what? What's going on?
This is blue swing shit.
Frank Mir had a horseshoe up his ass. I pulled that sumbitch out and I beat him over the head with it.
You can't stop the Siberian Express. Choo-choo, motherfuckers.
If he was a girl, you would say he has a badonkadonk.
I'm cool with all the gods. Gods recognize gods.
This is #1 bullshit.
I'm not impressed by your performance.
I'm the man of the hour, Joe. Too sweet to be sour. What you see is what you get, and what you don't is better yet. I'm the women's pick. I'm the men's regret. And if you win against Chael Sonnen, you made a bad bet. Mandalay Silva. 6 feet tall and 205 pounds. Boy, until I met you, I didn't know they could stack crap that high.
Where you at, McNugget, you fucking piece of shit? I'm gonna kick your ass.
I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
I don't have much left to say other than you have seen nothing yet.
Who the fuck is that guy?
You're listening to the Blood and Bandage MMA podcast.